G'day guys, welcome back to Beers and Breakevens, brought to you by Bloke in a Bar, the beer of Supercoach. Make sure you get out there, grab yourself a case of beer this week. Check your stockist list, head down. Kempy is pretty much giving beers away this week. The deals are unbelievable, but more importantly, brought to you by our major sponsor, Blue Wealth Property. They make investing in property easy for you, and we've got a special guest today, which I'll bring in a moment. But before we get there, Paddle Pop Line, Timmy, welcome back, mate. What's doing?
Oh, mate, just got to be back at it another week. What are we, round 6 now? So things starting to settle down a bit. Team's starting to settle. Bit of squad value, so life's good.
The sides are looking good at the moment, just quietly. I'm pretty happy the direction we're going in.
Side's looking great, better than the rank.
Tell me about it. Now, we have got a special guest today, the great Andrew Mortimer, son of the great Turvey Mortimer from Blue Wealth Property. What's doing, mate?
Hey, mate. Just still pumped from the win on the weekend for the doggies.
Speaking of the win, we were in the Chairman's Lounge with you. I don't know if I've ever seen a more popular bloke. Shaking hands, kissing babies, it was all happening.
Mate, I think I previously worked at the Dogs, sold sponsorship to, or corporate hospitality to half the room, so I like to just sneak out to the seating bowl by myself and watch the game. I didn't get to do it too much while I was
Well, you climbed up the grandstand from the front way, you climbed your way up, and then everyone knew you.
I know my way around Acor Stadium. Don't give the secrets away.
Very popular up there. And, mate, Canterbury in general, very impressive. Off the field, what we saw the other night was fantastic. On the field, even better. That game was incredible.
Yeah, mate, it was. It's very cliche, but it was a Bulldog. It was a typical Bulldog win, or an old-style Bulldog win. You know, just grinding it out, finding a way. So exciting at the end, obviously. But those sort of wins can, in some ways, set up your season or give you the confidence that, you know, you can get the job done in tough moments. So we're going to have a tough one this week. But, yeah, it was great to see. And long-suffering fans are just hanging in there for something like that. And it's happened, which is great.
The injuries. Carnage. Absolute carnage.
Yeah, it's very... Nothing you can do about it. I think, obviously, the HIA protocols have impacted us as well. And I think, you know, that's an ongoing story for the NRL. But... yeah, it's get the opportunities for some new blokes to get a go. So that's all. That's what we've got to look at.
Now, obviously, mate, you are the son of the great Turvey, 3-time premiership winner with Canterbury.
4, 80, 84, 85, and 88. 88 was his last game. Played about 10 minutes.
He didn't start in the 88, did he?
No. He was coming back from, I think, a busted forearm, busted wrist, something like that.
Yeah, still a win. We'll take it.
Yeah.
And speaking of just out and out winners, my co-host here. He had a Oztag grand final last night. How'd you go?
Well, mate, there's a bit of context to it. Firstly, double game night. It was a big night. We won the semi, gutsy win, about 7-4. Got to the GF, 80 minutes in one night. Love handles bloody coming out all over the shop. I was not ready for it. Mate, we got dusted 7-4. I think it might have been the same scoreline. So. Bit disappointed, but it was a good performance from there.
Is the Spy in that side?
The Spy is in that side.
How does he go?
The Spy goes good. The Spy throws one of the best passes you'll ever see. Good kicking game. Gets around the park. Doesn't like the tough stuff too much, the Spy, but mate, he's a really good organising sort of halfback, or in tag terms, what we call a link man or something weird like that.
Mate, I'm sorry to expose you, but Morts, I texted him last night and said, how'd you go at Oztag? And this was the message I received.
I don't even know what this says.
Looks like an essay.
Mate, we won the semi. By we, I mean I won the semi. 40 plus tags, no missed. I pride myself on my D, so no shock there. 3 try assists, 4 line break assists, 2 forced dropouts. Honestly, I was everywhere. Had to play the grand final straight after my man of the match performance in the semi. We had subs, but I refused to make eye contact with them. I had to make a statement and set the standard. By the way, I now know why they call him the Supercoach Spy. Fuck, he went missing last night. Spied plenty of tags, but didn't get any. I'll tell you that much for free. Honestly, mate, there wasn't anything more I could do. The other blokes just aren't cut from the same cloth as I am, you know. 80 minutes of tag, no subs, no missed tags, and I threatened all night with ball in hand. I had spiders on me. Just needed others to go with me. You can't win them all, and I understand that, but me personally, I deserve the win more than anyone.
I think
Fuck, you're full of yourself, aren't you?
Firstly, I'm not fooling myself, and secondly, you left out the part about playing with a broken finger.
He did his best Jacob Preston impersonation last night.
It sounds like I should have captained you.
Struck the finger up. Go good.
The word Herculean gets thrown around a bit too much these days, but look, I actually got Tommy Sangster down to the Oval to tally up my Supercoach points, and let's just say there was a new record.
He didn't do a Paul Alamotti job on him, did you?
No, he didn't. He didn't skin me like they did Paul Alamotti on the weekend.
What's doing there?
Oh,
something, boys. Something. Help us out.
Rushed, wasn't it? We're at the game like beauty. Alamotti try assist, another line break down here. Get back 40 points. Updates will get it. Nah. Anyway, not bitter.
So now if his name was Paul Travojevic, different story. We're looking at a 70-point game there. Yeah. Now, mate, we've got you on from Blue Wealth Property, obviously our major sponsor. We've had Tony on here a few times, and I'm here to tell people Tony might be the Nico Hines, but I think we've got the Braden Trindle here today. He comes in and he does a job. He always impresses. What's going on at Blue Wealth at the moment, mate?
Mate, plenty. We had a property release last week, I think it was. Now, time's getting away. Really good activity off the back of it. Interest rates were on hold yesterday, which might sound boring to a lot of people, but it's big news in our world. So lots happening, lots of events. I'm up in Queensland a bit with Blue Wealth. We've got, and a lot of those events will either just be sort of general information, as you guys know, around investing. But we've got one coming up in a few weeks' time on the 27th of April. That's on rent vesting. So basically the concept of rent where you want to live and buy where you can afford. So, which is, to give you an idea, like in Sydney, the average deposit to buy a Sydney house or units between 6 to 8 years. Now, to save up for that deposit, 15, 20% deposit. So, our parents' generation, the generation before, was get out there, buy a house, pay it off, and then worry about everything else later. Well, got to do something different. So that's what it's all about, mate.
Just firstly, so Trindle banking a lot more cash than Nico Hines is at the moment. So I think we've got the right bloke at the desk. Secondly, that ties into the idea that, like, I love the Gong, big fan of the area, the Illawarra, want to move down there. Probably can't afford to buy down there. Might be looking to purchase a little townhouse in Bunyan, about 10 minutes out of Cooma. Got 400 people in the town. Actually, that's been very generous. So might be renting there. So provided it's a good growth area, that's the idea. So can't afford him in the Gong, buy elsewhere.
Mate, pretty much.
Renting the Gong, buy elsewhere.
Yeah, so Gong, lovely place, beachside, rent where you want to live, rent to suit your lifestyle, basically, enjoy your lifestyle, and buy where you can afford, so you're getting property. At the end of the day, it's someone might be able to buy, for argument's sake, a $500,000 property somewhere in a research-approved market that we look at, but that might not get them much in Sydney or in the Gong. So, it's about where can I get onto the property ladder but still enjoy the lifestyle I want. And renting's changed. Like, renting was traditionally fresh out of school, going to uni, doing a trade, whatever. You rented because you had to. Now it's actually a lifestyle choice. I'm a rent vestor as well, so it's
and that's the thing, mate. Like obviously time we spent with Blue Wealth, a lot of the core and the foundation of what you build around is your model for where to buy, where is the best place to invest in.
Yeah.
I've seen the model, made a few tweaks to it for you, helped you out a little bit there. But the best thing
coming now after that, mate.
It has not missed a beat since.
That's right.
But that's the thing. It'll be like, I know that last week you were saying we have it in there having a chat to you, and you said like Perth is a spot to buy, or like Sunny Coast is a spot to buy. But that's again where it comes in. Buy there, rent where you want to.
Yeah, mate, exactly right. So the model, without boring everyone to tears, basically mitigates risk, takes as much risk out of it. What's happening in an area, what infrastructure is going into an area. We're talking about Snowy Hydro before. What's the demographics there? Who's living there? Who wants to live there? So giving yourself every opportunity to buy property, and you're going to get a good tenant, basically.
Beauty.
Mate, you mentioned that you spent a bit of time in Queensland. We actually went to Queensland a few weeks ago for our live shows, and I noticed at the airport there's a sign that says no Fittlers, Johns or Mortimers. How'd you sneak in there?
Use Mum's maiden name, mate. I think that's
smart footy. Very good. Mate, how's the Supercoach team going as well? You're a keen Supercoach player?
Mate, average. Tony jokes that I've got absolutely no idea about Supercoach. He's probably right. I probably treat it like I like that bloke. I'm going to get him in. I like the way he plays footy.
Way too nice.
Yeah, I'm where we analyse, Blue Wealth analyses. I don't. I just go with gut. So, okay. but could do a hell of a lot better.
It's a pretty heated comp in there at Blue Wealth, just quietly.
Mate, it takes up half the bloody day. Like, seriously, if Tony's in the office, you got to you have a meeting about sales meeting or what we got coming up. The first 10 minutes is Supercoach. So which obviously I like, but there's not everyone's a footy fan in the office, so it's trying to keep to an agenda, which is Tony's all about time management. It's a challenge.
I noticed the other day too on social media, Blue Wealth hiring at the moment.
Yeah, we are. We've got who are we hiring? We're hiring. I think we're looking for an IT specialist.
A new CTW.
Hopefully not. Yeah, that's right. Hopefully not another BDM. We just hired one, and hopefully my job's safe.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. I will say this: like every time we've been in the office, it seems like the best environment of all time. Not that I've had many real jobs in my life, but
there's a ping pong table, and that's enough for me.
That'll do us. Yeah,
no, it's a good place to work. Tony's built a good culture, good product, obviously, but you want to enjoy where you're working, what you're doing. So
beautiful. So Thursday, 27th of April, 6:30 p.m. kickoff in there at Sydney Olympic Park.
Yeah, in at Sydney Olympic Park. Come in if you can. You can tune in via webinar, and I'm sure you'll do the throwaway, but make sure you reference Beers and Breakevens when you register. But yeah, come into the office if you can. It's you've got a chance to ask questions, have one-on-one conversation. Definitely worth doing.
And we'll have the link in the description if you would like to join that one. Sign up via our link. Make sure you mention Beers and Breakevens. And at the end of the show, we'll have a quick video that's just sort of explaining the concept of that night. So very exciting. Thanks for joining us once again, mate. Always good to have you on. I think your head might pop in a few weeks' time too.
Oh, if you'll have me back,
we're already missing you.
Happy to come
you haven't
back.
left it on missing you, mate. Already missing you.
Hopefully the Dogs are still on that winning streak.
Fingers crossed, mate. How good. Cheers for coming in, legend.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
All right, back to the two of us. The great Morts has left. Bit of on-screen magic there, just quietly sprinkling my dust everywhere. Timmy, mate, how'd you go this week, Supercoach-wise?
Pretty well, mate, for as a non-Nico owner. 1285, so like the par amongst probably the more top-ranked teams is around, I think, the 1300. So not enormous, but obviously going against Nico, it was always going to be a scary watch this week, where you watch the game out at a course stadium, watch the first half together, and when Nico was on about 85 at half-time, mate, you can tell the story, but it wasn't a good viewing. It was good viewing for you, I suppose. And then to finish the game on, like 90 points something prior to those final updates, got out of it okay. So, mate, I've said it week in, week out, but really happy with how the squad's set up. A solid week last week, and I'm hoping now in a week where everyone's got 900k of Nico on the bench, I can hopefully start making a few moves.
Did you say you didn't get to 1300 last week?
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm being genuine. I thought everyone... I thought... Anyway, can't win them all. I got 1361. Should have been 1400 if Paul Alamonte was noticed on the field.
1300. It's like he wasn't playing to the scorers.
Anyway, they get most of them right, but that was a shocker. I'm currently ranked 33,000. You're sitting at about 20,000?
20,000.
And 99 points between us.
Yeah.
Just a Don Bradman average separating us.
Love it.
How good.
Tight.
Love that. And the trophy stays where she belongs this week. You can keep the Stal. How good.
Aside from the pride, I like the Stal. I like the stallion.
I hope you like the Stal.
Yeah.
I really do hope you like the Stal. Yeah. It's looking very comfortable over there.
I
think it's going to stay there. Big Dog's looking great with me, just quietly.
Talk to me when you take over, mate.
How good is it going to be for the person that wins Beers and Breakevens this year to be sitting at home inviting people over and they walk in and in front of the TV they go, what's that? Go, what's that? Man. The pride and joy.
Please.
How good. The Stal. Looks
like someone's got the FIFA World Cup trophy on their mantelpiece. What's that for? It's like,
1 in a million. Never going to be repeated. So we'll have to get a new one next year. Sensational stuff. Love it. Now, speaking of the Beers and Breakevens group, we are absolutely flying at the moment. In the top 10, we've got 4 people. In the top 20, we've got about 7 or so. So, and I also think that the real players probably haven't emerged just yet. So I'm expecting that to grow over the next few weeks. The guy that is leading the Beers and Breakevens comp, he is coming 3rd overall. His name is his team name is X with no name underneath. So bit of a mysterious little character there, just quietly. It's not your burner account, is it?
Oh, too quick for me, mate.
Yeah. He's coming 3rd. That wouldn't be you. Now let's have a look at the total. Let's have a look at the scores from the weekend. Wiley, The Wile E. Coyote 1973. I can see he's got a green dot next to his name. He's on the line right now. He is a keen little Vegemite. Getting stuck into his Supercoach. How good. 1,500 on the dot. What a score.
That's enormous.
Huge. Yeah. Imagine if Al Alamotti got his points. I assume he's got him. Yeah, so congratulations to Wiley. Reach out, mate. Spoke to the person that won it last week. We're going to be sending the balls and everything out every about 2 to 3 weeks. So all the ones for the first 4 weeks were sent out last week. So if you were one of those winners, post them on your Instagram. Tag myself and Timmy so we can share them. And, mate, we also had the competition last week, the sledge off. And the poem from Nico Hines was a winner. So that was C. The answer C. I don't have it in front of me. I also don't have the name of the person. But congratulations to you.
Clear-cut winner.
Clear-cut winner. Reach out. You have to send me send an email to Beers and Breakevens along with Wiley. You'll get your Guru football and your Beers and Breakevens football. And, Wiley, you'll get a Beers and Breakevens football this week and your Beers and Breakevens hat. So make sure you send your emails. beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. Now, it didn't come without controversy, Timmy. The person that wrote the poem, a lot of conversations in the chat. I got a lot of messages say that the poem was written by AI. Which obviously we went behind closed doors, we discussed it, and we came out with a result that neither of us have the slightest fucking clue what that means, and we care even less. So deal with it, wear that. Don't care.
If you can get a robot to write your good shit up for you, please pass on the information.
Credit to you.
I'll start getting to pick my Supercoach side.
100%.
Yeah.
So, tough shit. Swallow that. Winner will be sending it out this week. Reach out to me, beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. I'll need a screenshot of your account to make sure it is you. Imagine if it is a robot that reaches out.
Can we get into the studio?
The Terminator. Arnie coming in. How good. So guys, beersandbreakevens@gmail.com. Reach out, please, if you are Wiley or said winner of the competition. All right. Mate, should we get into Teamless Tuesday? Anything else to touch on?
No, mate, you've just got me thinking about this robot and if it's a robot Supercoach player.
Imagine. Going rogue. Love it.
My name is Robot Jennings.
Might play fullback for the Raiders this weekend.
Oh, we could use it.
Could you ever? Jesus. All right. Thursday, we've got the Melbourne Storm taking on the Sydney Roosters from Amy Park for the Melbourne Storm. Tarek Sims on the bench. Jack Howarth named on the extended bench. We might see him eventually. And I'll tell you what, if we do see him at some point, a dual CTW to RF is right up my alley right now. It would be sensational if he can manage to get into it, wouldn't it?
It would, very much. So I've got Tarusi's player ownership, true player ownership numbers here. 6% of the top 100 own Jack Howarth.
Interesting.
All the way through to sort of 5% of the top 1,000, 10,000, 7% overall. It's like a lot for a bloke who seemingly is nowhere near it, but he's in the squad, so yeah, if he can get a crack, he'll be very popular.
So I'll be keeping a very close eye on Craig Bellamy's Supercoach side if he trades him in.
Yeah.
Ron. For the Roosters, Joey Manu comes in to replace James Tedesco. Something just to keep an eye on, especially for more so you draft players. Satili Tupanua, he's playing for the Bears this week, so he makes his return. What does that mean for Egan Butcher over the next few weeks? I'm not sure. I don't think either of us have been overly convinced on Egan Butcher. I was very high on him in the preseason, but I wouldn't be surprised if Satili comes in and takes that spot. Angus Crichton, also back at training now. So a couple of factors going on there.
Mate, as long as Tupanua comes back all right this weekend, he'll be back in the top grade, I think, potentially as soon as next week. They might give him a couple of weeks in reserve grade, but they're crying out for another edge back row to get Egan back in the middle where he plays his best footy.
Yep, for sure. All right, let's move to the Friday night games. We've got the Canterbury Bulldogs. It's Good Friday, of course. Bad day to be fish.
Game.
Yeah, it's the best.
The Friday Doggies, Bunnies one. Far out, I love this game. You
can go to the Doggies, you can go to the Bunnies, and then you can roll it into the Easter show. We were out there at Homebush the other day. Easter show looking primed and ready to go.
Yeah, he looks like good shit, mate.
Favourite show bag as a kid? Go.
Birdie Beetle.
Oh, fuck, I was going to say the same. We just finished each other's sandwiches. How good. For the Canterbury Bulldogs, we were actually at this game the other night, and I can't confirm or deny, but someone came up to you in the bathroom and said, do you want to play back row next week? You were that close.
I was, mate, and I'd be ready for the call-up.
You would be ready too.
I'm match fit. I've got me 80 minutes of All-Star under the belt for the week, so I'm ready to go.
How good. For the Canterbury Bulldogs, a heap of forwards out here. You've obviously got Max King and Preston who have been named. I believe, and you might have more from the great Darusi, but it sounds like they will both feature this weekend.
Sounds like it, yeah. No word from ads as of yet, but, I mean, you could chop Jacob Preston's head off and he'd be playing this game.
Yeah.
Run around like a headless dog. I think he'll play. And Maxie King, there was a poke in the eye, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was it from Preston?
Yeah. He almost lost his finger in there, to be fair.
And Max King, man, he'd probably play without a head as well. So with their depleted forward stocks, I expect them to lace up.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to note Andrew Davey on the extended bench could be a guy to come in, but I also wonder if they've just named Andrew Davey there because they've got no one else to fucking name. That's how short Canterbury are at the moment. Want to keep an eye on that.
What's the go though? Because I know Andrew Davey coming into the season throughout pre-season, they had big raps on him. They signed him, so that says something. I know there's initially a few sort of concussion issues, but yeah, obviously reason that I haven't spoken to Ads or anyone at the club around that, but why he hasn't played.
I assumed he was injured, but yeah.
Anyway.
If only one of us sat next to a Bulldogs board member last night. But anyway, All
my questions to Darusi are centred around Carl Olawapu.
Some of the great forwards out at the moment, Pele, Kicker, RFM, Williams, Durkin, they're all missing at the moment. So very, very tough gig for Canterbury. For South Sydney, AJ, he will miss this week with a concussion. Tane Milne comes back into the side. Any changes other than that for South Sydney for you, mate, worth touching on?
No, nothing substantial there other than, and we will get to front row forward cheapies later, but Davey Moali, it's just not going to happen, I don't think. Tavita Tatola's back in there. Harm Saleh obviously played first game back from that concussion last week, so it's a 4-forward bench. It's just not going to happen, is it?
I've just put some white out on my computer where my bench front row forwards is, so I never have to look at them because fuck, it is depressing.
It's about to get more depressing, mate.
It is a tough gig, yeah. And we have got a big deep dive on front row forwards and cheapies. It is going to get heaps more depressing very soon, so stay tuned for that. 8 p.m. Friday night from Townsville, we've got the Cows and the Dolphins for the Cowboys. Scotty Drinkwater in. Reuben Cotter back in. How good. And our man, Griffin Neame on the edge. We'll talk about him very soon, but very exciting. Scored incredibly well last week. Hylam Lukey out of this side. Interesting to see Tom Chester stays on the bench. So they've got Chester and Granville. So good signs for Griffin Neame and a few other forwards there, which we'll talk about very soon.
Surely that doesn't stay that way.
I wouldn't think so.
Granville can play fullback.
Yep.
And Val can play fullback.
Yep.
Yeah. Mate, I'd love to see...
And Hiku did move to fullback a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, that's weird. Surely that changes. Mate, your boy, Taniela Sadruga.
Hello.
I'd love to see him get a run.
I would love to see him get a run.
I think, mate, I was looking through Queensland Cup stats from the other day and hasn't had a lot of minutes, only might have played a couple of games. So I don't know if there's an injury there or something that sort of limited him.
Not sure, to be honest with you, but a very talented guy. And I believe he's fullback, he's CTW / front row forward.
Did I just one-up you on a reserve grade stat?
Please.
It's a first.
But yeah, really likes Sadrugu, and I'm pretty sure he is front row forward / CTW. So if he was to come in, that would be my wet fucking dream right now.
Front row forward CT dub.
Ugh, would be unbelievable. Wow. Yeah, fingers crossed. For the Finns, Milford out, Nicarima in at 5'8", Jack Bostock out, Edric Lee in. If you went a week early on Jack Bostock, sympathy is so minimal.
Yeah, it won't give you anything there, mate.
No, nothing for you. Congratulations to Edric Lee making his debut for the Dolphins, another of Wayne Bennett's boys. Super Saturday, not quite a super this week, only 2 games on. I've got a Bucks in the morning, so I am stoked. Shout out to the NRL for getting that spot on. Panthers taking on the Manly Seagulls, 5:30 coming to you from Penrith. For the Panthers, Sonny Luke back in. No Martin, no Garner, no James Fisher-Harris. Liam Martin, we said this a few weeks ago, he was going to be, if Hoskins did well, he was going to have an extended break to get himself ready for Origin and everything. Luke Garner, not named this week. Interesting enough, not named in New South Wales Cup either. So I would say the mail last week of him having niggles was spot on. But sucks for Garner, but the more time he gives Hoskins to impress, the less likely I think he is to get back into this side.
Yeah, and regarding Hosking as a buy this week, he's obviously the most purchased player for pretty good reason. He'll play 80 again this week. And, you know, even if worst case scenario, with his break even, the big negative break even, Martin does come back in, Garner does come back in, and for whatever reason, he'll play 30 minutes off the bench next week or the week after, whatever. The money will be incoming, and even so, one of the two is probably not going to return next week anyway, so he should go 80 again. We know Scotty Sorensen, they prefer to play as a middle forward. So Hosking, look, you've got a potential keeper there if he keeps an 80-minute role outside Nathan Cleary. So you just got to lock and load, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. And look, it wouldn't surprise me if Ivan Cleary does give Luke Garner one more opportunity to show what he can do. But I don't know if he's got it in him. To be
Garner will get opportunities. And look, he's genuinely had niggly injuries to start the season. Looked like he came a little bit underdone fitness-wise, and that held him back a little bit, hence why Jamin Salmon was getting some of his minutes early on in the season. I still think Luke Garner has an important role to play in this side. He's not fully fit. He's not ready to go. However, as it stands, I think, for the next month or so, it'll be Zach Hosking and Liam Martin as your starters. Like, we might even see Luke Garner doing, and Jamin Salmon's been going all right to his credit, but maybe Luke Garner does the role where he comes on and plays 30 minutes for Hosking down the track.
Yep, potentially. For the Manly Seagulls, Jason Saab comes in for Tui Pilotu, and we've also got Josh Schuster returning. Good to finally see Schuster. Tough matchup, though.
Tough matchup. We got Sit v Start shortly around Schuster, whether we play him or not. Doesn't seem like a big one, but I like Jason Saab for Tom Trbojevic just because of his speed. He just needs an inch. He's a bit like Fox, and he's away in it to try. And Tommy Trbojevic, he creates a space for him. So I think that's only good news for Tommy Turbo.
7:30 Saturday night from Suncorp Stadium. We've got the Broncos taking on the Canberra Raiders. For the Broncos, not much doing. For the Raiders, Frawley out, Schneider in. Huge breaking news in the nation's capital. Jared Croker, how good?
He's in.
He's in.
Yes.
So good to see. I didn't probably see this one coming at the start of the season. I thought he'd be stranded, to be honest with you, but fuck, I'm happy to see him.
If my poor old Raiders get the wooden spoon, they bloody better get Jared Croker to his 300th game. That'll be about an even out. That'll be a break even for the season. I think if we can get Toots to his 300th, that's a win.
Yeah, 100%. One of the great guys of rugby league. The other one, mate, Corey Horsburgh moved into the 13 jersey. A dual position guy. Raiders have a bye in a couple of weeks, which we'll talk about soon. But I think he's about 530K or something along those lines. Horse. So, geez, if he was 450 or something, he's a guy I'd consider. Yeah. He racks up stats, but, geez, do you want to play Ricky Stewart roulette? I'm not too sure.
Break even's 110. So you obviously had the 95 a few weeks back when he got the double. Like, what's doing? He played 31 and 36 minutes the last 2 weeks.
And that was after he scored 2 tries.
After he scored 2 tries.
And I thought, he's earned Ricky Stewart's trust here. How good.
And just took it to Royce and the Sharkies in the back end of that game. Comes out and plays 36 minutes. Like, I think he's such good football. And I'm with you, mate. I think he's a very good Supercoach player. In 2020, when I went he was a big part of my side for a long time. As he was the early season mid-range cash cow, a bit of a Christian Welch this season, who you plugged in early, prioritised other higher scoring areas, and he just did a job through till about Origin 1 when sold him off for other players. But because he's got a good offload, a bit of attack in him, anyway.
Yeah, CHN obviously goes back to the bench. I think the writing was on the wall for CHN after he let the week got a dog stroll through him just quietly.
Yeah, he's lucky.
He's lucky to still be in Canberra, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say he's lucky to be in first grade, reserve grade. Ron Massey after that one. Ricky wouldn't like that too much.
Okay. Now, our next game on Sunday, we have got the Titans taking on the Dragons, 4:05 p.m. from the Gold Coast. Titans, Toby Sexton comes into play 6. Jaden Campbell at 1. Foz and Brimmer obviously out. I personally think the big talking point here, though, is Jojo Fafita on the extended. Obviously, people that have held on to the great Khan Pereira, very happy, huge negative break-even, which is great. I'm a little bit worried that he could lose his spot for Jojo Fafita.
Yeah, certainly worried. And with Khan Pereira about to make a ton of cash, he's got the 117-inch rolling over for another couple of weeks, plus the Dragons matchup. Please play this game. Yeah. Look, the masses own him anyway, so we're in it together. Khan Pereira, 80% of the top 100, 83% of the top 1,000, 70% overall. But, 80% of the top 100, it's 20% who don't own him, and that's a lot of cash incoming. So just need him to get 2 more weeks out of him. Look, I think he's done enough to be like, with Jojo coming back from injury, mate, win this spot. Win this spot this week. We'll give you a chance. But I'm with you. Like, it wouldn't surprise me to see Jojo come in.
Yeah, the other thing as well, he's obviously hasn't been named today, but Ken Mamalo, who they have signed as well. I don't love the signing, but I don't know why you'd sign Ken Mamalo if you're not going to play him as well. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe, sure, but surely they didn't get Kenny for nothing. Like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's an interesting one. I hope I'm wrong, and probably will be. I hope I am. I reckon there's a world where you could see AKP become potentially third in line over the next month or so. He's scoring tries, but he's got so many fucking mistakes in him. It's not even funny. He doesn't bend the line on his kick returns. There's a lot of question marks there with him. So hopefully he can have a good game this weekend, keep himself in there. It's against the Dragons, so every chance up there on the Gold Coast he can. But just a little spot to watch there. And if you are planning on playing him this week, which I know a few people will be eyeing him off against the Dragons as a potential pod, it is Sunday. Just make sure you don't leave yourself short if Jojo does come in. That's my only worry with that spot. You've also got Looming, who's on the bench, the hooker from England that's come over. I had a look at his highlights the other day. I'm not convinced he's going to be all that crash hot. I think that when you have a look at his highlights and everything, Leeds are willing to let him go. I know the Leeds coach, very, very smart fella. I find it bizarre he's let him go. So I've got my question marks over him. But we'll see how it plays out. Probably more of a draft sort of play there, realistically. For the Dragons, no real changes here. Jack DeBellin on the bench still. You'd have to think that he comes in eventually. JDB, I think he played 45 minutes on the weekend, scored 41 points. So we know he's that sort of guy. Knights Warriors, 6:15 p.m. on Sunday Arvo, coming to you from Newcastle. For the Knights, Tyson Gamble out. Phoenix Crossland comes in at 5'8". Jack Johns at 13. Kurt Mann on the bench. Bit of talk around Jack Johns this week, mate. Played really well last week. Had a great game. Nice little break even there. Kurt Mann back on the bench. Worries me a little bit, but he's not a bad little cash grab.
Yeah, look, mate, it's just that he's at 2RF. Give us a front row forward, Jack Johns. Like, they said 72 points last week with a try, negative 36 break even, 234k, good cash incoming, but they said Kurt Mann's back on there. He'll lead into minutes at lock. Adam Elliott will be due back in coming weeks. Saifidi coming back through the middle. He's got to do a lot in the next 2 weeks to make it worthwhile, put it that way.
I was talking to someone the other day that they made a really good point. They said Jack Johns is definitely Matty's son, but Cooper is definitely Andrew's nephew.
Yeah.
Which I think is fucking perfect. Unreal. For the Warriors, Tohu Harris named at 13. Niakore's out, suspended or whatever it is. So Sirinen comes in. Tomato Martin comes in for Volkman. One thing on their extended bench, DWZ, you'd have to think he comes into this side at some point. Who for? Not sure just yet. Tohu Harris, once again. I hope he plays, but after a win last week, I'm not convinced he does if he's not 100%.
Yeah, in the late game again.
Yep. Makes
They're
it tough.
going really well, the Warriors, so they don't need to risk him. You know, if they're battling and losing games and low in the ladder, it'd be like, oh, we need to get him back in. But they've got so many good forwards, so...
It's tough.
Yeah.
Monday, cracking game this one. Tigers versus the Eels, 4 p.m. from Homebush. You can also daily double this into the Easter show. That'll be a good time. Cool. Tigers, I am not going to go through this entire shit show. Adam Dewey moves to 6 is the only real relevant thing. Is there anything else worth touching on for you?
Mate, less said, the better.
Yeah. For the Parramatta Eels, might just have a moment of silence.
Oh, well, yeah, while you're having a moment of silence, I do like a lot of people looking at selling Dewey this week, and rightly so. We know that a lot of questions this week around 5'8" and who to bring in for Dewey, or if you're flipping. I know you're running a combination of Katoa in there with Schuster, so like very light on there. Look, I like Dewey at 5'8" a lot more than I do fullback. Just hands on ball a lot more, does a lot more. So he may not have bottomed out in price just yet, but he's already lost a fair bit of value, and I just don't like anyone to go to. Dylan Brown's on the radar in time, but he's got a big break even. Good Tigers matchup. Could go really well this week, but I'm just going to prioritise elsewhere, and I think I'll just be holding on to Dewey. Yeah,
one of the loudest moments of silence I've ever heard, but Jermaine Hopgood.
Save it for Anzac Day, mate.
Benched, yeah. Tough one. I'll be honest with you, mate. I am not as stressed as other people. All the people say, oh, it's because it's Hopgood, you're biased, whatever. Why don't we just wait and see what the role is? Like, he could come on and play 60 minutes.
Yeah, well, mate,
he could start.
I'm happy to tell you off at any occasion that I can and disagree, but I do agree in this sense. I think he starts, to be honest, and I'll not say I'm super confident on that. I just think we saw all last year. Ryan Madison was used as an impact forward off the bench, so Hopgood just seems like the perfect starter for me. Gets in, does the dirty work. He's got a big motor, can play big minutes, and Madder can come on and do what he did all last year in the season where they made the grand final. So, look, we'll see if there might have been a change in mindset from Brad Arthur around the way that he wants to use Ryan Madison, but everything I've seen from Hopgood has been fantastic. I think any errors that he's had around a couple of missed tackles here or there or bad offloads, the offload against Manly late in the game was chasing points. The missed tackle on Harry Grant, the poor bugger played 84 minutes in round one, fatigued. I just think he's very, very good. And then I think he'll, even if he's playing 60 to 65 minutes, I think he's a hold. Parramatta play all three major Origin weeks. You can have Hopgood there with Junior Borlow out, playing there. The other factor is, what is it? He's priced at $548K. So he's not at like $750 after a few tons and you go, all right, let's cash him in. I don't think he's going to get that much less in value.
45 break even this week. You imagine saying to this bloke, I'm benching you?
Yeah.
I reckon he's going to come out and go fucking berserk this week. He could play 40 minutes and score 60 or 70.
And that's the thing, mate. If let's say he does come off the bench this week and for whatever reason play 30 minutes and gets 30 points, he'll drop like 10K, and if you really want to, you can move him on next week, but surely he's worth a watch.
Yeah, I'll be sitting and watching for another week without a doubt.
I think he'll be in my team until after Origin.
Yep, so do I. I think I'll just hold him there. And, I mean, with the way the modern game's going, one HIA, one injury, anything like that, he plays huge minutes all of a sudden. He's an offloading forward.
Imagine a dude who, in his first like sort of full season in the NRL, started the year with 2 tons, and that's the biggest issue in your team at the moment.
Yeah, 100%.
Plus.
Matto at 13. Bryce on the right edge, which is interesting because Sean Lane returns. Wonga Blake has been dropped. Russell and Dunster come into this side. Bailey Simonson not in it either. I thought, mate, just one interesting thing to note. The fellow that came from Canterbury a couple of years ago, Isaac Lume, he's been playing fullback in reserve grade the last few weeks. Obviously, the article came out last week that the Parramatta Eels looking for X factor in the fullback role. Still trying to work out their centres. Interesting to see Lume move to the wing this week. Dijon Arcee moved to fullback for the Eels. I said Arcee, it's Assy. I love Assy. I've always been a huge fan of him. The ass man. Very interesting move there. Played centre the last few weeks. I wonder if potentially Parramatta could be thinking of maybe making a move there.
I'd be off them if they did. This anti-Gutho tirade, if it even does exist and it's not an entire media beat-up, so against it. But
I don't think it's a media beat-up. There's quotes from Club and Gutho. Yeah. Like, it's a thing.
What the hell? He's so good.
Yep.
Like, every Raiders fan sitting out there watching Parramatta say, ooh, our fullback doesn't have enough X factor. It's like, come on.
We don't have a fullback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting note, though.
Interesting to watch.
Also, Dion Arcee. Dion Arcee. How versatile is this kid?
Boy can play. He's
Centre,
a good footballer.
halves, fullback.
Yeah, played a lot of 5'8" coming through. He can play just about anywhere in the back line, and he's very, very talented. So just want to keep an eye on there, mate. Russell and Dunster. Any interest there on these guys?
No, they're both a bit awkwardly priced, aren't they? So Russell is at $366K. You know what? $366K, but Paris draw coming up. Where did Wanga get dropped?
Yes, he's playing reserve grade.
Hayes Dunster's $234K, so sorry, I take that back. On the wing for the Eels, absolutely. And the best thing about him is, if he can win a spot there and have a few good scores, it'll be as Warbrick peaks, Pereira peaks, so whack to whack, that's a big chunk of cash.
Is Hayes only CDW?
Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that if he plays next 2 weeks and scores well, which with Tigers and Doggies coming up, every chance he can, he could be a great guy in a couple of weeks.
Yep, good shout. All right, mate, your deep dive, you're going to talk a little bit about buy planning. Normally when we hear buy planning, we straight away think the state of origin period. Obviously with buys, week to week this season, you're also going to touch on week to week over the next few weeks. And you've given me a little bit of an insight to what this is, and I'm very interested. So take her away.
So deep dive this week is around the week-to-week buys and what impact that has on Supercoach. And I know, like, because it's the first time in a long time and possibly the first time in Supercoach that we've had to deal with the weekly buy, but lots of people said, I'm just not going to overthink it. I don't need to worry about it too much. I'm going to take it as it comes and sit people like that. Wrong decision. Guru?
Who's got two thumbs and was thinking like this? This guy.
And a lot of these deep dives come off the back of me doing my own plan. You go, shit, note that. So I'll use my example for you. And I currently have Joe Taffney, Stefano Udakamanu in my front row, Davey Moali and Franklin Pele on my bench. Moali doing nothing, minutes probably going to get less and less. Pele injured long term. Regardless, did not want to have to play them in my starting front row forward. Tappany, Udakamanu, both doing fine. Happy with them. Happy to score okay in the meantime and prioritise other positions. Next week, Tigers have the bye, mate. So all of a sudden, Taps is there at front row, and I have to play as it stands, Moali or Pele. Not playing Pele because he's not in. Moali, he might not be in the team next week. All of a sudden, need a front rower. At the same time, need Nico Hines in my side. Need to free up cash there. So there's two spots that I need to focus my trades around, which will lead to probably using a boost, I'd say, next week. The week after, Canberra Raiders have the bye. Joe Tappany's on the bye. So Stefano will be back. Same problem. Moali or Pele. And this is where you need just... Not everyone has all week to look at their Supercoach time team and all those hours. Just look at least 1 week ahead to who has the bye coming up and see how that will impact your team, because it's significant. Again, Adam Dewey at 5'8". The problem with the Tigers is I've got Udakamanu there and Dewey, and they're in two of my, I suppose, weaker positions at the moment. Weaker in that I'll have to play Isaiah Katoa next week when Dewey's out if I choose to keep Dewey, which is okay as a 1 week play, but not the best. So you have to look at these things and just at least 1 week ahead, have a look at it, who's on the bye, and I would recommend, if you have a bit more time, have a look at 2 weeks ahead and who is on the bye. So it's so important. And anyway, yeah, I said, mate, you weren't alone. There are a lot of well-credentialed Supercoach experts out there that just said, I'm not going to look too much into it, but you have to, mate.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, that Stefano situation is going to be very interesting for me. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to handle that or what I'm going to do there.
Because who's your second front rower?
Welsh.
Yeah.
Followed by the all-star front row bench of Davey Moali and Franklin Pele.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank. Jeez. I tell you what, when he ran on for Canterbury the other night, if you thought the roar for Josh Reynolds was loud, you should have heard me and Timmy when Frank the Tank came on.
Yeah.
Standing O's, how good.
He got a couple of metres from a try. He was about 4 metres from the try. And we're like, reach out, Frank.
How good. So good. Yeah, and then fractured his arm, so... Good times.
Yeah. And, like, he punched out 31 and you're like, all right, the wheels are starting to turn. We're back. We're good. Yeah. We'll get 50K out of it. No,
Physio at Canterbury is not getting paid enough, whatever it is. No. Mate, anything else on your week-to-week buy planning? Something really good for a lot of people to think of.
Yeah, not much, mate. Just minimum 1 week ahead. At bet, like, even 2 weeks ahead, ideally. Just have a look at it because it is important. And... you won't know it until it hits you, and when it hits you, you'll go, oh, shit.
Yeah. Rattle stations. Mate, we just sort of touched on it a little bit, but your front row forward, cheapies and options. Obviously, a lot of people are going to be up shit creek without a paddle over the next 2 weeks. A lot of names here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so sort of do your research during the week, and I've got a good little routine with all the podcasts during the week and whatnot. And then you find yourself a Tuesday afternoon spending 3 hours looking at front row forward cheapy options in the next 2 weeks.
Wait till you're in a draft comp, mate, and you spend every Tuesday night trying to find a front row forward that's going to get you 45 fucking points. Nightmare.
Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting and it's pretty depressing. I'm going to go through in all the ones that say sub 400K to plug holes. So there'll be a lot of people in a similar situation to us. Whether it be the week Tappany's out, whether it be next week with Udakamanu out, and they don't have 3 decent front rows and you're in all sorts. Who are the options that we can trade in? Now, Let's talk about number one, and that's Isaac Fasuamalawi. Low break even, played 2 games, scored well last game, on the bench for the Titans, front row forward, 4 forward bench named. Like, what's your take on him?
I don't mind him. I question whether they will bring in this hooker from England as well. I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up on the bench. If so, I like him even more. I'll be perfectly honest with you, I haven't probably watched as much as Isaac as what I would have liked so far, so I'm probably not the best person to comment, but I do think he will get good minutes there. I obviously think being the brother of Tino.
You think he will get good minutes?
I think he'll get half-decent minutes, good enough minutes to make the trade. It's not something I'll be doing personally, but I can understand why people are doing it.
So, okay, so yeah, that's interesting. I don't mind him because of his price as a cash grab, but as a bloke that, if I'm bringing him in, I'm probably going to have to play him for next week and then the week after.
Yep.
So that's where the issue comes in. Who was next on my list here? How are we sitting out at the game on Sunday night? It was just the Griffin Neem show, mate.
Yeah, it was impressive, wasn't it? He was on fire.
So, names starting the edge this week. We sort of spoke off air about it. We think that maybe Mitch Dunn has to play on the edge, doesn't he? Griffin Neem in the middle.
Yeah, I can't see that playing out like they've named.
So, 371k, break even to really good on the weekend. 74 points, 52 in base, 59 minutes. Possibly a little bit inflated, but not necessarily a lot. Jordan McLean out, Hylam Lukey out.
James Tarmo out. Ruben Cotter comes back. I don't mind him. Like, he's a worker. Found 4 or 5 tries last season. He's just that bit more awkward price at 370. I wouldn't feel good about it, but... It doesn't feel right, does it?
It doesn't feel right, but that's me. Like, I'm only looking for a front row who can come in, make me a bit of cash and score me, punch out a couple of 45s.
Yeah.
And he could be the one. The issue is Nanai's back next week. Dunn pushes back into the middle rotation. Cotter will have more minutes under his belt. First game back from injury. So, like, I need Neem more for next week and the week after as opposed to being this week.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I agree with you on all fronts there. And if Neem, if he's... Yeah, you'll end up with someone else in that front row rotate, like surely one of Cohen Hess or Mitch Dunn, whoever it is, moves out of there too. So
if the bench stayed as it was with Chester there, I'd be like, oh, happy days.
That's a conversation changer, 100%. I don't mind the Neem play. I won't be doing it myself. It doesn't feel right to me. Even the bench, mate, like JTB and Riley Price, you're not going to get huge minutes out of those guys either. He's shown that he can play big minutes, Griffin Neem. You said he can score a try too. So
won the trust of the coaching staff.
Yeah, I think that's... And I think that... I think he's always had the trust of them because last year, like, he had some really good games, did some good things, but fuck me, he's got an error in him.
Yeah.
And Todd Payton just keeps backing him in. So he obviously must like the kid. I can understand where you're going with it. It's not going to be for me, but I think there's much worse options.
Break it, and look, because there's all these front rowers, and anyone in this situation, particularly around Stefano, sorry mate, voice going, around Stefano, the issue will be more next week. So you can have a look at him, most of 1 week, break even 2. He's going to make a bit of cash, but if you're really worried, you can have a look.
Yeah. You got your own flu pod coming on just quietly? Fuck, it's a piss weak version of it.
Mate, I'd hate... we'll get to about halfway through the season, won't be able to speak. Next on the list, you're going to hate this. You really are. Cohen Hess. 375k, averaging 36. Particularly underwhelming this season. But at least...
He did kill Apollo Creed.
He did kill Apollo Creed. Big tick. The minutes are there, and I don't think they're going anywhere. So he's averaging 67 minutes this season for 36 points. break even 36, which is ordinary. We know he can score a try. I know. We say we know he can score a try. I might be looking back to about 5 years ago. It's a bit of stretch. But you know what I mean? Like, he's 375k. He could play 80 minutes this week and the next couple of weeks. Hylam Lukey was hammy, so... Yeah. Maybe he probably has a few more weeks to go overcome it. What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I'm not into it. I just if trading Griffin Neem in doesn't feel right,
That feels hard.
Cohen Hess feels like I've got a sock on for a glove. No, thank you. Just on that too, mate. Just something else to add in. Obviously, completely off topic here, but Cruz Leeming, the hooker from the Titans, has just been added in. I thought there was a chance we might get a real cheapie here. 384K.
Oh,
So people that thought maybe he could be an option, nah, Gonski. So it's back to your Sonny Lukes and these guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Continue with your front row forward.
Sean Kepi. Look, he's gone up 56K. He's another one that's like, you're not going to get much money out of him, but he's getting decent minutes. His work rate's okay. He's basing 38 per game. That's in 42 minutes per game, averaging 40. So he's cheap. He'll do a job. He'll come in, he'll get used 40 to 45, but there's just so little upside to him.
Yeah, I mean, in saying that, mate, we're 3 games in, he's gone 40, 36, 38, 47. So I mean, but in saying that, if you have Sean Kepi, this is exactly who you knew you were getting. Your one big advantage is that you have got a duel, which I think is absolute fucking gold there.
Yeah, and like, though next week when people lose Stefano, you could plug him in and go, he'll get me his 40. If you can jag a couple of offloads or something, he might get 50.
Yeah. Who else you got there?
The last on the list, it's just going through ones that need an injury. And there's blokes like Wiramu Greg, who starts this week, and then Tom Ale, take over.
Tom Ale, Wiramu Greg, Tepai Maroa, Leo Thompson, who I think looks unreal at the moment, up there for the Newcastle Knights. Josh Kerr, you've got on the list here. One that I'm just not convinced on his minutes, especially with Jack DeBellin coming back. And the last name there, Christian Welsh, mate. Most of us already own Christian Welsh. You don't, which I asked you about before, and Jesus Christ, I certainly hit a nerve. I thought you were going to jump across the table and beat the living shit out of me.
Oh, you don't own Christian Welch?
I hope you know that's exactly what you sound like. I really hope you're aware of that.
Wrong again, mate. Christian, he's not that highly owned. 33% of the top 100, 39% of the top 1,000, 33% of the top 100,000. So, like, solid number, but he's fallen off the radar, I think, for a lot. I haven't seen any chat about him because of the one game against the Titans where he quite weirdly played 33 minutes in that blistering heat up on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
Outside of that, and like owners would know this, round 1, 67 in 57 minutes. Round 2, 51 in 62 minutes. Round 4, 55 in 47. Round 5, 55 in 47. Pretty much entirely in base. 452K, so you're paying a bit more, but his job security's fine. We know he can offload. He hasn't offloaded in 3 weeks. So I'm like, it's all work rate. If he can start freeing the arm a little bit, like, I don't love it, but I'm tempted just to, and again, I've got some planning to do around getting Nico in as well because I need to shore up my front row a little bit, but it's just going one of my front row forward teams, Pele or Moali. Obviously, ideally, I'd be getting rid of Pele first, but getting rid of one of them two and going to Christian Welch just to shore it up.
Yeah.
Going good.
Yeah, I don't mind that. Yeah. All right, mate, are you done with your front row forwards?
Yeah, all done, mate.
Done with your flu game too?
No, that's...
It's a bit more of a who game, as in who the fuck is this guy?
Flu's wet. It's not flu, it's just croaker throat.
Croaker throat, how good. All right, Guru's trades this week. So, start of the week, I was thinking about going really outside
also, if
the
anyone's
box.
They're like, just, you want to fast forward, what do we, 2-3 minutes, whack. What do we, 30-second increments in YouTube when you go fast forward, so 6 clicks of a button, we're done.
There you go, how good. You're going to be alive for this segment? You're staying with us?
So I've got 3 minutes to get. Come good.
How good. Buttermenthol, reach out. We need you again.
Come on, Buttermenthol.
All right, so my trades this week. So I want to bring in Hosking. So I'm having a look at what I do here. I was thinking Bryce Cartwright to Hosking. Then the Jermaine Hopgood thing happened. I thought, I move Hopgood there. I've settled on Teague Wilton to Hosking. Obviously has the bye this week. I think Teague's done well. I think we've made our money. He's just missing a lot of tackles, isn't he? Missing a lot of important tackles. So I worry about his job security, which isn't ideal for my draft team. So I'm thinking I will go from Teague to Hosking. Then my other trade, and this is where it gets interesting.
Before you get onto that, just on Teagues, there'll be a lot of people in the same boat. I think I'll sell as well. No harm in holding.
Yep.
Averaging 60-odd, largely in base, couple of tries maybe off kicks or whatever, but he's doing fine. It just, again, comes down to being in that 2RF position where there are so many good options. And if he's in any other position, you'd be like, he's not a problem, not causing any headaches, but he's missing some tackles. So you just wonder if he's on the chopping block minutes-wise at some stage.
And the one advantage, he's got to think Wade Graham's due back next week.
He is, yeah.
But Dale Finucane's out for another 2 weeks. So he has that should lock him in for a spot for the next 2 weeks to prove himself. But it has been 5 weeks and he's still missing.
And they've got a lot of middles.
Yes, they got a heap.
So they could put one. Even if it was for 30 minutes, just to not have him playing fatigued.
Yeah. So that could become a problem. We'll see how it plays out, though. Hopefully he responds to it. Now, the other one I was going to do, I'm really happy with my CTWs at the moment. I've got Garrick, Val, Kiraz. I want to add Marzhew this week.
That's a strike, CT dub.
Yeah, my thinking with Marzhew is that he's playing left. I believe he's going to stay on the left. From what I've read and what I've been told from people at Newcastle, it looks like KP will be back in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, great news.
So Marzhew right now with a negative 44 break even, he could become unreachable very quickly. So for me, I just want to get him in now. And I think that if you don't have him in now, let's say that KP comes back in 2 weeks and then you're trying to get Marzhew, people that don't have Nico Hines, people that don't have Nathan Cleary, you're going to have to get them in as well. I just worry and I hope that a lot of people aren't going to be able to get Marzhew over the next few weeks. I like the matchup for the Newcastle Knights this weekend at home as well.
So you're thinking Warriors this week, KP back for the Panthers the week after? Or Cowboys?
I reckon the week after the Panthers. Who is it, the Cowboys?
Cows.
Yeah. So I reckon he's still 2 weeks away. Might not be. I don't know. But I just... That negative 44 break even, what does he cost at the moment? Like, he's not cheap.
581.
Yeah, so like I reckon that he could be heading into that low sevens by the time KP returns.
Oh, absolutely he could.
So
yeah,
he could even be higher. He will be.
Yeah, and if he punches out ton, then he'll be like 800.
Which I think he quite possibly could this week. So I'm going to bring him in. What I was thinking of doing was actually letting go of Reece Walsh. Now, Walsh has been fantastic. I've made my grab on him. Break even of 40, and people go, what the fuck? Why would you possibly do that? And I have lent off it a little bit, but I do think Walsh will be a sell within the next 2 to 3 weeks. So I think that when you have a look at his stats so far, he has been incredible. There's no doubt about that. I don't know how you feel about this week, but I kind of think that your boys might have a bit of a bounce back this week. I think they'll put up a bit of a fight against Brisbane. You have a look at Reece Walsh and his stats. He's played 4 games, 3 tries, 6 tries. He's 15 tackle breaks, 3 line breaks. Still scoring 80 or 90, which is good. Don't get me wrong, but he has to do a lot to score. And they're now becoming the hunted, I think, Brisbane, as good as they are. I'm starting to think it might be time to move off Walsh in the next week or 2. I was going to do it this week, but Alamotti with a 40-point break even, I worked out that if I got rid of Wilton, I could get rid of Alamotti for Marzhew, and I'm going to run with that and just take that little bit of extra coin from Reece Walsh over the next few weeks.
Absolutely. As you said, break even 42, so should be a little bit more money to be made there. I agree. I think the Raiders will get up for this because they've shown for a few years now that if the back is against the wall, they can get up for games, and even if they don't win, I think the attitude will be a lot better and they'll turn it into a grind, and it might just be more of a low scorer. I hope I'm right. But the reality is we're struggling this year and we just got 50 put on us and 40 of it was in one half. So it's still a good matchup for Walsh. Titans the week after, we know what their defence is like. So 2 more weeks of Walsh, then it goes into Parramatta, Rabbitohs, Manly, Storm, Panthers. So difficult. So I'm with you. 2 more weeks. Even if he goes 90-90 in those next 2 games, because he'll be like 850, 900K, we're going to get Latrell and Teddy at like 600K. So that's where people probably won't make the move if he does go whack again. But because he'll be so high, though, they'd be like, you know what, I'm banking the cash and getting Latrell or James Tedesco. So I'm with you. I think from that Eels game, he'll be a sell. However, it's also 2 more weeks to decide, is this bloke just a keeper that we hold on to?
Teddy's at 676K with a break even of 127.
No good.
Yeah. So we might even get him for 5s.
Ugh.
Probably will, realistically, I reckon. So that is unreal, and I think that I will be moving from, and I know that Origin's coming up and whatnot, but I spoke to you this morning about it, and I sort of mentioned the name Clint Gutherson because he's going to be so good during that bye period, but hard to turn down Teddy at that price.
Yeah. Yep. I think flip to Latrell / Teddy, and again, like a lot can change between now and then. We know that, but I'd be happy to go one of them two for 4 or 5 weeks and then look to get Gutho in as my second, say, fullback option and maybe flip, whether it's Teddy, Latrell, Turbo, whoever it is through the Origin period, whoever's draw doesn't work out well, who looks like they'll get more rest, and look to get Gutho for those 3 major bye rounds.
Yep, love that. All right, mate, sit v start. We'll fly through this quickly, having a look at our sides. Mine really isn't much to talk about. The only guys that I'm not playing are essentially Josh Schuster. That Penrith matchup, I don't love it. I'd probably rather... Although, would I rather play Qatar or Josh Schuster? I've got to play one of them. I'm not happy about it. The one I have to play, I definitely won't be reserving the other one. My CTWs I'm not going to play this week are all the cheapies, Campiera, Taruva, Warbrick, but that's because I've got Marzhew, Kiraz, Garrick and Val Holmes. If you had to play one of your cheapies, Campiera, Taruva, Warbrick, who are you looking at, mate?
I think it's Taruva every week, isn't it?
2 tries last week for 63.
Yes. Both off kicks, though. And, mate, he's proven week in, week out that his base stats are immense. He's basing 35 each week. Last week was 25, but it was also a game that they put 50 on. So They smashed him. So he didn't need to do his big work rate. So while 2 tries, I said, we spoke about how when players score tries off kicks, not only are they not getting the line break, but they're also not having... I don't know if they had the 2-point run or whatever. No, they wouldn't. Maybe dive on it for 1 point. Not getting the 2-point run, and they're not getting tackle breaks. Like, if you fall over the line through 2 players, you get tackle breaks for that as well. It's a bit weird, but you do. So, yeah, I like Taruva. I'll be going of my cheap. Said it up to Taruva. The interesting one is Khan Pereira.
Yeah.
Let's say he does play. Maybe Jojo gets cut from the squad early, whatever. It's a good matchup against the Dragons on the Gold Coast.
Very nice, yeah.
Yeah, so look, I think I'm going to play Taruva, but I can see why you do it. So I'm sitting Alamotti, Khan Pereira, Warbrick, sitting Katoa, sitting Tanner Boyd, sitting Josh Schuster. I would not be playing Josh Schuster against the Panthers. Yeah, so it's starting to... Squad's getting a little bit stronger. And if I do pick Christian Welch this week... I would also be sitting Stefano Utokumanu.
Yeah, fair shout. I just on Taruva before we move on as well, I think it's also worth noting that obviously he's got the Samoan Reg Gasnier inside him, Isaac Tungo. So, fuck me.
Samoan
What's
Reg.
he averaging?
One of your
68
best.
this season. That's not bad for a CTW. Anyway, geez, you jinxed him.
How many has he scored for your team?
Jeez, you jinxed. Fuck, you jinxed him. Jeez. Texted me at the 30th minute, goes, you'll be able to buy Isaac Tungo back in 3 weeks for 200K, and then bang, bang, bang. Isaac finally gets some good ball. Look at what happens.
Oh.
142.
Finally get some good ball or some shit opposition.
Jeez, Mount Rushmore is Cleary, Hines, Turbo, Isaac. The Samoan Reg Gasnier, one of the greats of all time, Isaac Tungo. How good?
Oh, why don't you buy him ahead of Marzhew then?
No. Fallacy. Will not be happening. But shout out to Isaac. Great to see. And fuck you, Tim Williams.
He's such a funny one. Like, we won't get too much into it. We've been going for a while, but...
I'm happy to.
Yeah, basing 37. Like, his base is still there. That was his first time he got it. I mean, he scored in round 2, but... Like, his base with his attacking upside... I'm trying to think of who he reminds me of, that it's just for whatever reason, maybe Katoni... No, I was going to say Katoni Saz. Katoni Saz doesn't have base.
Don't you dare.
It just doesn't... just doesn't happen for it. It did on the weekend, though, mate. Good luck.
Yeah, I think the more that this team sorts that left edge out and they solidify who's going to be out there, I think the better he will get.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, yeah, so is that Sip V starts, mate?
Sorted.
All sorted. All right, let's get into some questions. From Brad Kennedy, keep or trade. Adam Dewey sort of already touched on this. Had to give him a straight answer.
I'm holding to give him not a straight answer. I see merit in trading as well.
From @NoMiss23, sell or hold Hopgood. We understand why people are selling. I think we're on the hold side for now. This person also has him in draft, so that could be a huge kick in the
You're the draft expert on the panel, mate. Obviously, could be a sneaky little opportunity to try and pick him off of someone that does own.
I like it.
See, I know things.
Yeah, the guy in our draft comp who has him would be absolute rattle stations right now. So I think he'll be receiving a few messages.
Panicked, and I'd just be going, whoever owns them in your league, you might just throw a curly one, try to get him cheap.
Yeah, I'll be out the front window tonight, Mick. Don't worry about that. All right, our next one from Eamon Kennedy. Trade Hopgood or Cardi. Pick one. If you had to trade one of them this week, who would you go for?
Cardi,
the Cardi party.
No question, mate. Cardi's done his job, made about 180k. He's peaked. Gone.
Tate Johnson, is Marzhew worth considering? Feels like a trap, but the negative 44 break even is very tempting. I think that if you can, you should get Big Greg in this week. That's my take on it.
Yeah, and it depends how you sidestep. Like at the moment, I'm happy with the majority of my squad. Front row forward is a problem area, as we've spoken about, but my centres are Garrick, Val Holmes, Toto and Taruba. Very happy with it. So I'm like, I don't need to add Marzhew. I think it's a great buy. Absolutely, I do. As you meant, even now, so that you said Ponga back, hopefully back in 2 weeks, even better. Warriors this week, another nice matchup, despite their outstanding form. Really leaky on the edges last week in the first half. But it then does go into Penrith, Cowboys, Eels, bye. I just think job security still concerns me, mate.
Yeah.
Defensively, he struggles big time. I'm not an oracle.
No, I know.
Yeah, but that being said, mate, even if he does play this week and score 40 or something, he's still making a ton of cash. More than likely, you're getting yourself a keeper.
Yeah.
And I think worst case, he makes you cash and you can flip him for 700k. So I think he's fine.
Yep. This one comes from @F Woodcock. Shout out to Dr. Woodcock, who was my Year 10 general maths teacher as a 16-year-old. Hilarious seeing that on the team sheet. That was great.
Still hilarious.
Timmy, how does it feel to be a poor man's Steve Irwin?
Oh, take that.
I mean, yeah. You tried to insult him.
Yeah, but like I cop Phoenix Crossland pretty often. I've been copping... I've been copping Zach Hosking, so I'm like, Steve Irwin.
I love Phoenix. That's great.
Feels great to be a poor man's Steve Irwin.
Oh, Phoenix is unreal.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm going to be using that.
No comments around, buddy. You're getting a bit of a trim around the ears either, so I don't quite have the Phoenix locks at the moment. But
all right. What have we got next? Harry GG. Has the Walsh boat sailed? We sort of already touched on this a little bit. I don't think it's sailed yet, but I think they're taking the rope off the dock slowly, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would be going for the pod approach if I didn't own Reece Walsh. I know there's two good matchups to come, but I think I'd be looking to go down the pod route of Latrell Mitchell or Teddy in sort of 2 weeks. He's very highly owned, Walsh, for obvious reason. What do we got him at here? 85% of the top 100, 84% of the top 1,000. Here's a good discrepancy in the ownership. 47% of the top 100,000. So double that, just about going into the top 100 and top 500.
Yeah, wow. All right, our next one from Ryan Littleguard says, bring in AKP or Marzhew. So obviously, can't compare. There's a big cash grab there. Pretty fair cash grab on Marzhew as well. I think if you're tossing up between those two and you don't have AKP right now, I think Marzhew is definitely the one to go for there.
I think Marzhew's the man. He'll get the cash. He's a potential keeper. Can't Pereira, we spoke about the Jojo Fafita threat.
Yeah. At Dill Elturk, who's been a long-time follower of the show, champion fella. Time to trade Hammer. If so, any cheapy options? So Hammer, a guy that neither of us own. Or do you have him?
I sold him last week.
Time to move off Hammer?
Yeah, break even 50. He's made 160k. More important to that is, and some of these cheaps, I wish they made 200, 250k or whatever. But the fact that he's been a safe plug and scoring well for 17s each week, that's just as important. So he's done a great job, but I do think it is time to move on. In terms of people to move on to, any cheapies at CT Dub?
It's tough at the moment.
Yeah, I'll have a quick look, but you might need to come back to me, mate.
Yeah. Next one from JP Dems. This is an interesting little talking point that I thought was worth throwing in here. Do you think current players check their Supercoach score? I know that there was a couple of years ago, there was a player that actually brought up his Supercoach score in his negotiations for his next contract, which I thought was fucking unreal. I think the other thing that is worth noting is that, I've obviously got my younger brother who's coming through SG Ball and all that at the moment, and they obviously know that he's my brother. And a lot of those guys are talking about their Supercoach sides quite regularly. So it's going to be really interesting in 5 or 10 years, because a lot of these guys are going to come through playing Supercoach, enjoying it with their mates. It's bigger now than what it was when we were at school. We still played, obviously. And I've got mates that went on to play first grade that played a heap of Supercoach when they were at school and whatnot. So it will be interesting in a few years' time. I reckon there will be a lot of guys that will be keen Supercoach players.
Yeah, the bloke who spoke about his contract negotiations, young Chris Hyington, actually went on to get $1.5 million the next season after dropping his Supercoach stats back in 2008. Maxi King, I believe he's one. Ads Drusi was saying that he was chatting to Maxi King about Supercoach and he plays and loves it.
How good.
Yeah. No wonder he's working his ass off.
Yeah, he's going hard at it.
He's got himself.
I'll back that. Mate, did you come up with any CTW cheapie options? I know there's not many out there to really go to. So did anything pop out to you?
Well, Hayes Dunster's one.
Yeah.
That, I mean, if you wanted to have a look at him, you could wait. Hayes Dunster. Like, Wanga got dropped. Simonson is gone for how long?
A while, I'm not sure. I don't know if he gets back in, to be honest with you.
I think Hayes Dunster is very playable in 17s the next couple of weeks with Paris draw. Obviously, it's somewhat sight unseen, so a bit of risk there. But, mate, he's bottom dollar. I don't mind him. Outside of that, cheapie-wise, yeah, look, there's probably not a lot at the moment.
Can I build off the back of this question and get your take on this? I am looking at my side, looking at my CTWs, my front row forwards in particular, going, I would give my right nut for a fucking jewel to be able to move around here. Last year we had your Talakais, your Isaac Tungos, these sort of guys, so it made a lot of versatility, your Nico Hines, these sort of fellas. Is it too easy? Is it too early to be nothing for a really good jewel to be able to get
way too early, mate. I hate the early nuff.
I think you hate it too much.
No, I don't. Jewel nuffs suck. You got to remember, there's 2 extra rounds this season. COVID's still kicking about, flicking around. There'll be some COVID outs. Concussions, like you get tapped on the ear now, gone. Add in the 11-day policy now where you get cat 1, you're gone for 11 days and you're guaranteed to miss at least the next game. Viliami Kikau had a cat 1 at training the other day. He misses 2 games. Injuries, origin, buys. Build your squad, mate. I just think there's a time and place for nuffs, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not until after Origin 3.
If I can get a good duel, I'll be happy to do it over the next few weeks for sure. I understand where you come from and I get it, but I'm happy to work around it to be able to free up cash to spend elsewhere.
Yeah, you do you.
Thank you, mate. I shall. We'll talk about it when the week comes. That'll be fun. But, yeah, an interesting take. If I was to listen to one of us, I would probably go with the Supercoach expert sitting over there. But I'm okay with it. I would only do it with one, and I reckon I probably will over the next few weeks. All right, mate, captaincies. Let's take it home for this week. What are you looking at here? Who's jumping out at you?
Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
It's even more exciting that I think, I just got ads of stats gone, but so the Manly matchup, I think could be a really good game of football, but they did just concede 32 points to the Knights. It's I believe the 5:30 game, so hopefully the field's nice and dry for that one, which I forecast. But so Cleary currently owned leading into this round's trade, 57% of the top 100. 61% of the top 1,000. So, you're looking at around about half of the people don't own. The opportunity to pod captain Cleary on a tough round, he's just so safe, mate. I won't be looking too far past him, I don't think.
I think, and I agree with you, I probably will go Cleary, but I think there are a couple of opportunities here that if you've got a pod guy, it could be a big move. I look at the Roosters, you've got Joey Manu playing fullback in that game. Melbourne haven't been super impressive. If you happen to be one of the few that has Joey Manu.
If you've got Joey... Do you think Joey Manu plays fullback?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's what I would do anyway. Will I fall off my chair and be shocked if Suoli's at fullback? No, but I think Manu probably will. Do we agree he's the better option at fullback?
I think Suoli is.
Oh, really?
Yep. I don't like Manu at fullback because he just doesn't have a passing game because his strength is his running. So I just think it stunts all backline movement. And I think the way he plays at centre where he roams, he essentially plays as a second fullback anyway.
Yeah.
And you get the best out of it because he'll have his runs, he'll get his penetration, his yardage, all of that. But Sully can be the slicker player on the end of the back line. I like Sully there.
Can he?
What?
Maybe slicker than Manu, but his ball playing isn't great. Let's be fucking honest here.
Not great, but I like it more. I just think the roaming Joey at centre, you get the second fullback out of him anyway.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I think some other options there that could be interesting. I mean, the South Sydney Rabbitohs taking on the Bulldogs. Bulldogs obviously missing so many guys. If you're someone that hasn't been mentioned in the 5'8" conversation, Cody Walker, he's looked sensational last few weeks. If you happen to have Cody as a pod, maybe a VC, could be a huge gamble. The other one that's going great guns is Campbell Graham.
Yeah.
He is flying.
He's averaging like...
And these are obviously big pod play captains. I'm not telling you they're...
He's averaging like 71. He's got about 40 in base, 39 in base. If I own Latrell, I'd captain him.
I would not captain Latrell at the moment. I don't think he's doing enough for me.
I actually think because
especially with the way that Cody's playing both sides of the ruck and everything, I think it's sort of taken a little bit away from Latrell at the moment.
Yeah. The reverse effect to last year.
Yeah. Cowboys, Dolphins, Val Holmes. A lot of people selling Val. He has done sweet fuck all.
I know.
He's averaging 60.
Yeah.
We watched him on the weekend. We were there. We were watching him and no one else. He was doing nothing. 60.
Initially, when Drinky was out, we sat there and sort of thought, oh, this could be a good opportunity because get a bit more involved, do that roaming a bit more and sliding into the back line across the field a little bit more. But they're just so much less silky without Drinky, and I think he definitely hurt him. So Drinky back in the side's good. And, yeah, he's my VC at the moment, Val.
How do you feel about a Payne Haas captain this week if you got him? Just a safe 60, 70 points?
I think you have to chase the high ceiling players, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
Unless there's a week where there's heaps of rain around and there's genuinely no good high ceiling options. They'll have tough matchups or whatever. I think they're going to do the damage to the Raiders on the edges through that ball movement, through Reece Walsh. Our 4-pack's pretty good. I don't think I know there was a couple last week, but I don't think the place to target is forwards against the Raiders.
Yep.
So yeah.
Fafita against the Dragons is another little hot option.
A sneaky one. Don't mind that.
I don't mind that at all.
No foreign, but Spy made the point in the play potty last night that around Calm Prayer, and I said, does it worry no Foz there? I think the week that he had 5 line breaks was when Foz went off after about 20 minutes.
It's all Fifi.
Fifi went nuts.
Yep.
So, yeah, Fifi's a pod.
One to consider there. And the last one, mate, obviously the Parramatta Eels taking on the Tigers. I think people are expecting the Parramatta Eels to put on a real score here. I don't know. We were sort of talking pre-game. The Tigers have got to get up at some point. They've got to just show a bit of pride at some point. The club's a shit show. It's all over the place. But you have got players there that will take pride in their performances. I just think eventually the Tigers will show something. Could be this game. Dill Brown's a guy that people are targeting. We'll consider him as a captain. I don't think anyone would have your Guthos and stuff, but like a Ryan Madison, people might bring in. A few options there. Dill Brown's probably the best one out of them. What are your thoughts?
I'm with you, mate. I think the Tigers have to bounce back. I don't think they're going to win the game. I think they can. I really do. They just, as you said, they're the laughing stock of the game at the moment, and they have to get up for this. They beat them in this fixture last season. It would have been, they started 0-5 last year.
Yep.
So it almost
they won this game.
It was probably their first. Yeah, it's probably their first win of the season. Big crowd, Easter Monday, great clash. I just think they get up for it. And it's not to say Dylan Brown isn't a good captaincy option because the matchup still looks great, but I'll show you they'll get up for it.
Heard some news just before we started recording that there might be a walkout by Tigers fans.
Oh.
Just sit in your seat, for fuck's sake.
Just relax.
Just
guys.
chill out.
We all love footy.
Support your players that are out there. They are having a red-hot crack. I think they're just surrounded by an absolute shit fight.
Yeah, as you said, the players are trying.
Yeah. Tough watch for you Tigers fans, and it could get tougher on Monday. Hopefully the boys stand up. As I said, me and Timmy got a feeling that they won't win, but I think they will do better this week at least. I guess the other one there, if you like Dill Brown, Sean Lane, is there a world where you could trade in both of them this week? I hadn't really thought about it until just then, but
I want to see Geez, you love a combo, don't you?
I love a combo. Imagine if you had Cleary and Hoskins on your right edge, and then you had Dill Brown and Lane on the other side. Fuck, it'd be good to watch.
Yeah. Look, he's playing. It's his first game out from broken jaw. You don't know if he's going to come back tentative. Does he play 80 minutes? Like, what happens if he comes back and he plays? He could come back and play off the bench.
Yep.
What if he plays 50 minutes? I just think it's a wait and watch.
Yeah, and you're going with a stack of Kyle Flanagan and Jacob Preston too, so exciting times.
Oh, Owapu.
Owapu, hello. Mate, the Supercoach Playbook podcast dropped last night on YouTube and everything. Make sure you go follow the Supercoach Playbook on YouTube. Numbers going well?
Numbers going really well, mate, for the potty. Website articles going good. So I just need to get in there on social media. I'm still about 2.4 million off your social media followers, but if there's any guru followers out there that want to jump on and give SC Playbook one a like across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that sort of stuff, be much appreciated.
Nice little charity for you.
Yeah, I'll take it, don't
That's
you worry.
good, we'll take it. Guys, thank you for joining us once again on Beers and Breakevens. We will have a little video that's about to play talking about what Mortz was talking about with Blue Wealth Property. We've got April 27th. It is a Thursday, 6:30 p.m. kickoff out there at Homebush, or you can jump on the webinar. Webinar was our keyword I was hoping to get from you there that I didn't, but you can't win them all. So Blue Wealth Property, guys, the link is in the description if you would like to sign up. Already a lot of people that have signed up. And without giving away too many details to me, I think that for those that do sign up, could be a little reward coming their way, a potential reward, which could be a bit of fun. Just
get a little bit excited. We love an announcement on this show.
Yeah.
So every single one from Brainstorm by you, of course, mate, but there's a good one coming up.
There's a good one coming. There's actually two good ones coming that might involve a little meet and greet. One might have a little magic component to it, so that could be a fun little night out. Might just go to Gilligan's instead.
We'll just go to Gilligan's.
Be a good time. All right, guys, thank you for joining us on Beers and Breakevens for another week. We'll be back 3 p.m. next Wednesday for our show. That'll be my last show for a couple of weeks. I've got a certain engagement that I've got to go and deal with, so I'll be gone for a week or so, and I think we've got a late call up for someone the week I'm away. We won't reveal the name now, but
speak of big announcements.
Big announcements.
Yeah,
Proper
so
big dog coming in.
Guru wedding, big dog coming into the studio for Beers and Breakevens. Mate,
a little bit worried I won't get the sleep back.
I was going to say, post honeymoon as well. Firstly, you might not get off that boat on the honeymoon. Secondly, I don't know if I want you back.
I don't know if I want to come back, just quietly. So, exciting. A lot of exciting things coming over the next few weeks, guys. Plenty of announcements. I will now farewell you for the third time in 3 minutes. Thanks for joining us once again, guys. We'll see you next week.
Most of us grew up hearing all about the great Australian dream. The dream of owning our own home on a quarter-acre block in the suburbs. We get told to study hard at school, get a good job, save our money, find a good boy or a good girl to marry, and buy a home to raise our kids. Some of us have decided that that's the way to go, while for many of us, it couldn't be further from the truth. Either way, many of us have decided that our great Australian dream is underpinned by purchasing a home. Most of us have a clear idea of where we want to live, and typically it's more expensive than we had hoped. Even the suburbs a little further out are more expensive than we thought. So we bite the bullet and buy something anyway. We've now spent too much and spend the next couple of decades on the back foot trying to stay ahead of the game. Let's take the example of John and Mary. They want to live in the inner city suburb of Heavensville. And in order to buy a house in that suburb, they need to pay at least $700,000. They decide to move to the inferior neighbouring suburb Hellsvale and find a property for $600,000. They use their savings of $90,000 as a deposit and pay the stamp duty and other costs. They take out a 25-year principal and interest loan of $540,000 and it costs them approximately $840 a week. Mary's sister Kate and her husband Peter decide there's a better way. They decide to rent in Heavensville for $550 a week and decide that they will buy a property as an investment somewhere else. They sit down and do their numbers and find out that they can comfortably afford to buy a $450,000 property as an investment. They borrow $405,000 and it turns out that the property costs them only $60 a week to hold. That's right, $60 a week. They're pleasantly surprised and realise that with their borrowing capacity and the minimal holding costs, they can buy 2 of these properties. They're now in a situation where they own $900,000 worth of investment assets, costing them $120 a week, and they're living in their preferred suburb for $550 a week. Their total cost is $670 a week. John and Mary, on the other hand, are living in a suburb they don't want to live in, have $600,000 worth of assets, and it's costing them $840 a week, which is $170 more than Kate and Peter. When both sets of assets double in the coming years, Kate and Peter will have $1.8 million worth of assets, while John and Mary will have $1.2 million worth of assets. So it turns out that in today's world, the great Australian dream may not be what it's cracked up to be. The world has changed, and the way we use our money is changing with it. The great Australian dream has now become about lifestyle and smarter decision making. Clearly, Kate and Peter won that contest hands down. If you want to find out what your numbers might look like, contact us today. Your future may be brighter than you think.